Hi, hello, today we're going to be reading more Am I the Asshole posts. This time, though, we're going to be looking at fan fiction instead of Genshin Impact. Am I the asshole for reading my coworker's fan fiction in front of everyone at work? I guess this title sounds bad, but please hear me out. I, 27 male, am a general manager at a fast food restaurant, not going to say which because I don't want to get in trouble, with my assistant manager, Sophie, 23 female. Me and Sophie get along pretty well. We joke, fight about stuff all the time, and like to prank each other a lot. Like prank calls, or making the other do fake orders, and writing fake surveys about the other, or splashing soda on the other. We end up working together a lot since we get a bunch of call-outs, especially at night, and Sophie likes to pick up extra hours. We both climbed up the couple years that we've worked there and have a good relationship. When it's dead, Sophie likes to write fan fiction on her phone, which I sometimes tease her about. A while back, I made Sophie read me a line that she was writing, and we were making jokes about it. Last week, I suddenly remembered the fan fiction again and decided to try and find it. I remembered the line she had read to me and was able to search for it online using quotation marks. I'm not going to say which show it's from because I don't want anyone to find it, but it was shocking to read. Pretty much the two characters in it worked at a fast food chain and ended up falling in love. It got pretty graphic at some parts too. The main character was essentially a representation of Sophie, and the love interest was basically me. I mean, right down to copying conversations that we've had at work. He even had a wife that he was cheating on to be with her. In quotations, I'm married, but I would never do such a thing. Anyway, a few nights ago, Sophie and the rest of the team threw a party to celebrate a couple of wins, and of course Sophie pranked me by shoving a cupcake in my face. So I remembered what I read and I thought it would be a good prank, so I pulled up the fanfiction on my phone and started to read it. When she realized what I was reading, Sophie's eyes started to tear up, which I was not expecting. The rest of the team was joking around with her, but she ran out of the party. Now she's not showing up to her shifts or answering my calls or texts. It's weird that Sophie's acting like this since she usually loves pranks and stuff, so now I'm wondering if I took it too far, but I also feel like she shouldn't have been writing those things about me and her too. Am I the asshole? Okay, there is an update, but I want to give my opinion for just this. I'm conflicted about this story because when I first heard it, I was watching it on Smosh's video that literally just released. When I first was listening to it, I was like, okay, Sophie's just taking some inspiration from real life. You know, like, if you have a cool conversation with one of your friends that sounds poetic, like, some people would use that in a fan fiction. I maybe have used similar conversations to what I've had with friends in fan fiction, because it, like, set up a plot point that I wanted or something. That being said, I think when it gets to the point of the love interest character being so much like that guy, it's valid for him to feel uncomfortable. Update. Am I the asshole for reading my coworker's fanfiction in front of everyone at work? This is an update post. Here's the original. Thank you to everyone for reading and giving your honest feedback. It's been a couple of weeks since I first posted that day, and I want to let you know that I read most of your comments and have had a hard time accepting that I am the a-hole. However, after reading and rereading and remembering the situation, I feel that your votes are fair. A lot of you advised that I leave Sophie alone, which I did. But what surprised me is that she actually came into work to her next scheduled shift after that post went up. I was intending on leaving her alone, but she approached me first, so we sat in the back room and had a discussion. I was ready for her to hand in her resignation or talk about taking this to higher-ups, as some of you had said, but instead she apologized to me. She said that she was sorry for writing fanfiction at work and for including personal stories. She admitted that the character was about me, after all. After reading all your comments, I was beginning to think that our time together was just inspiration, but she ended up confessing to me. I told Sophie that she had no reason to be sorry and that I had to be responsible for my actions. I acted inappropriately with her at work and allowed these feelings to develop instead of setting boundaries. I also humiliated her and read her diary in front of the whole class, and I deeply apologized. She actually ended up laughing about it, but I do admit it felt kind of like she was taking the higher ground and trying not to seem that hurt by it. I asked her if she wanted to transfer to a different location. She said no. She also said she wasn't looking for a new job. I had a separate talk with the rest of the team about what happened, and she joked around with them. Sophie's maturity taught me a lot about myself and things I need to work on. So that's what I've been doing. She and the rest of the team still like to do pranks, but I stay out of it now. As a manager, I've got to be in control and focus on the success of the restaurant. Sophie and I are on good terms again, but we've established clear boundaries, and it seems that she's starting to move on. Thank you all again for helping me realize that I'm the asshole. I feel like the character being based on that guy and the story being read are two separate issues. He is valid to feel uncomfortable about one issue, but when it comes to like reading the fan fiction in front of everybody, like that's not something like one, they're connected, but not like he's not the good guy now for reading that because it was about him. Like they're two separate issues. Honestly, it even makes it a little bit worse that it is about him because, as he said, he wasn't setting adequate boundaries for this girl, and so she started to develop feelings. So he's like the asshole for letting that happen, and also the asshole for reading the fan fiction in front of everybody. Like he's doubly the asshole. And the thing is, this girl did not share her fan fiction with him. He looked up a phrase that they had joked about and found it for himself. She was not trusting him with it. She didn't give him like the link to it, and maybe even she wasn't putting her name on the fanfiction. She could have been like anonymous posting, or she could have had a different username like that she goes by online, and no one connects that online persona to her real life. And then he completely disregards her boundaries and just looks it up on his own. I don't know. I just think this guy's an asshole, but that's me. That's on me. Am I the asshole for telling my sister it's time to grow up and stop writing fanfiction? My, female 30, sister, female 32, and I have been chatting recently, and I asked her what she's been up to recently. She got all excited and told me about this. So my sister, Lena, got really into this 20-year-old obscure TV series that's apparently difficult to find online. She's been spending her free time restoring the episodes and adding... Sorry, they did not type this right. She's been spending her free time restoring the episodes, translating and adding subtitles to them. She's also been writing fanfiction for that. Don't get me wrong, I used to read fanfics as a teenager, but I grew out of it. I told my sister that it's weird that a grown woman spends so much time obsessing over a TV show and going out of her way to restore. They wrote retort. Going out of her way to restore some old videotapes so she can share the episodes online. And for what? So 5 people can watch them? And what's the point of her writing those fanfics when there's no one to read them? She told me, and I quote, "It brings me joy." And she wouldn't even try to understand my point. I told her it was time to grow up and do more serious things, and she asked me if work wasn't enough. She also asked if I'd say the same thing about a guy playing video games. I told her that it was not the same thing, and she knew that. She called me an asshole and left the cafe. I've been waiting for an apology from her and even called her up, but she told me she doesn't speak with assholes. I genuinely tried to help her. Am I the asshole? Yes, you're definitely the asshole. I don't get how the sister could be like, this brings me joy. That's, it makes me happy. And the sister's like, well, hold on. You shouldn't be doing things that make you happy, basically. I don't know. I think do what makes you happy, even if you're writing for some really obscure thing. Like, you're doing it for you, not for, like, attention. I think it actually says a lot when you write a fanfiction for an obscure series, because it's like a self-gratification would be the right word. Basically, you're doing it for you, and if other people like it, they can like it, but you're not doing it to please other people. It's sometimes the best writing because you're only writing it for yourself and writing what you enjoy. And I think when people write what they enjoy, they write like almost better than if you are writing for like a fandom just because it's big. Am I the asshole for looking through my immature brother's phone after reading an inappropriate fanfiction of his? Ooh, it's a guy writing fanfic. Hey, good on you. So some background might be needed. My little brother, 15 male, is very introverted. Okay, maybe 15-year-olds shouldn't be writing smut. I'm not gonna say they shouldn't be writing, but I would feel really weird to read a smut that was written by like a child. Now hearing the age, I have a little bit of a different feeling. While I think that everyone, like when you're that young, you are learning to express yourself and learning who you are and what you like. But as an adult, I would feel very uncomfortable finding out something I read was written by a 15-year-old. When I was 15, I was writing that type of shit. So I can't say anything, really. It would be hypocritical for me to judge that person for writing fic at that young age. Let's see what the sister does, though. So some background might be needed. My little brother, 15 male, is very introverted and seems to have problems making friends and socializing. He hasn't made a friend yet because of how socially anxious he is. He just spends most of his free time in his room playing video games, drawing, and writing fan fiction, only to coming out to eat. I, 20 female, went inside my brother's room to ask something, but I saw something on his computer. I saw a doc of a fanfiction story he was writing. I was pretty curious, so I decided to read it. The story was, very dark to say the least. It was highly inappropriate, containing a lot of mentions of depression, loneliness, and other stuff that I would not like to mention. Oh. Okay, so by inappropriate, it was dark stuff, not sexual stuff. Okay. I have different feelings now. I feel like that's even more valid for him to be writing dark stuff just to get those emotions out, because teenagers have a lot of emotions, and I think that it's completely valid to write those out in fanfiction. I'd rather have a teenager write their stuff out in fanfiction than hurt themselves or resort to other forms of other coping mechanisms. You know, it took me until I was 20-something to realize I could just write these feelings into like a fan fiction. And before that, I relied on a lot of other coping mechanisms. And it's cool that these days now, kids are going straight to writing their feelings out rather than what I did as a teen. The story was very dark to say the least. It was highly inappropriate, containing a lot of mentions of depression, loneliness, and other stuff that I would not like to mention. When my little brother came back from whatever he was doing, I asked him about it. He got really upset that I was looking through his computer and decided to not answer any of my reasonable questions about how he was feeling and why he was writing that type of stuff. I was worried about my little brother since it's pretty obvious that story was related to his struggles in real life. He kept avoiding my reasonable questions that I was asking, so I became suspicious and asked him to give me his phone. He said no, but after a few times he finally stopped and gave me his phone. I eventually gave back his phone. I could tell he was really, really mad. I told our parents about this, and they are also upset and worried now as well. They are currently discussing plans to put out safety measures, swapped out discipline because it was the wrong word to use, and other stuff to keep my little brother safe. I've tried to talk to my little brother again, but he wouldn't say anything. After numerous attempts, he said that I violated his privacy and trust. I admit that I might have violated his privacy a bit, but I was just protecting him. My brother is really immature. For example, he couldn't even order food at a fast food chain, and he had me do it. That's not saying that he has difficulty socializing and doesn't want to order for himself. That's not immaturity. Maybe I'm thinking about immaturity wrong. I feel like that example of not ordering at a fast food place is not the best example of not being mature. It even seems like he's actually kind of mature because he's using this healthy coping mechanism to get out all these feelings rather than lashing out or using harmful coping mechanisms. Like, he's writing. He's getting those feelings out. He knows how to express himself. I just think it's valid to be worried about him or want to talk it out, or maybe send him to a therapist. I feel like this is a little bit judgmental rather than helpful, but I'm gonna read the first comment. You're the asshole. You essentially read his diary and confronted him about his innermost thoughts and feelings. Everybody has thoughts they don't want other people to know about, and they're not necessarily a problem. You haven't done anything to protect him. Your parents are talking about disciplining him. You 100% violated his privacy. Also, your description of your brother sounds a lot like autism or anxiety, neither of which is the same thing as being immature. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Because as an autistic person, I have a lot of trouble ordering food for myself and talking on the phone and like certain things like that. So, you know. And also, I didn't even pick up on that, where she, I guess, originally wrote, they're currently discussing plans to discipline him and other stuff to keep my little brother safe. Using the word discipline is interesting. I feel like they couldn't just... Disciplining feels like they're not bringing him to a therapist as he probably should be going to. Disciplining it feels like they're going to take away this coping mechanism of his and make it as though it's not okay to be not okay. Too Long didn't read, yes, they're definitely the asshole. I want one that's like, not obvious. Would I be the asshole for calling my friend homophobic for her choices in TV/other? All names have been changed. Trigger warning references to homophobia, child abuse, religious abuse, no graphic descriptions, mentions of sex scenes. Some context first. I, a 17-year-old non-binary person, am part of a small friend group of myself and 3 girls, Kate, Janice, and Roxanne. All of them 18-year-old girls. Kate is bisexual and Janice and Roxanne are straight. Janice is a Muslim and was initially homophobic towards me, Kate, and another queer friend of ours, but has since educated herself and we're friends again. Roxanne has never said anything homophobic, but due to her behavior and choices in regards to film, TV, books, etc., I think she's sexualizing gay men. Is this a fujoshi? As a non-binary person who is primarily interested in men, I identify as gay. I thought the simplest way to lay out the fact would be in a list. 1. When Roxanne found out I had written some fanfiction, she read it. That's just a supportive friend. Finding out that someone writes fanfiction and going, I'm gonna read your stuff. I'm gonna support you. Beautiful. Maybe Roxanne is a legend. 4 out of 5 of my stories are about gay male couples, including 2 sex scenes. She giggled while reading them, and when learning one SF Safer Work was the first in the series I was planning to write, she suggested both adding a graphic BDSM sex scene, which would make no sense in my story. Make no sense in my story being centered around the personal growth and childhood trauma of the 2 characters during the 1950s, and a scene in which one partner has a severe nightmare and is comforted by the other. She was very excited by the sexual scenes in my other stories and the scenes which involved child abuse and religious trauma of the gay character. That took me out. Maybe Roxanne is not a legend. Maybe. The only books, manga, TV, and films she mentions liking involve gay couples. When suggesting things for us, the friend group, to watch together, they always include gay men, and when we suggest things, she doesn't seem interested unless there's a gay MLM couple. She convinced me to watch her favorite show, Queer as Folk. When I suggested we watch Shameless, a different show with a gay couple, she said, but there are other characters beside the gay ones. As her reason for not wanting to watch. Okay, that's not homophobia. That's just a fujoshi. While watching the above show, I became invested in a few characters. However, Roxanne skipped any scenes that didn't include her favorite 2 characters, who have a purely sexual relationship with each other, in which one is in his 30s and one is 17. We're on a ride here, because is Roxanne a legend or is she not? We'll find out in the next 2 points. She has never, to my knowledge, been a fan of any other queer characters or relationships. Most of the things she watches don't include any, and in the show mentioned in 3 and 4, she skipped scenes including the lesbian character. Not based. Watch the lesbian scenes. Gay men and lesbians, solidarity. We need solidarity. She also has never, to my knowledge, used all my pronouns. I go by he, she, or they. She's only ever used she. Ugh. Other than me and Kate, who came out after we met her, she doesn't talk to any other LGBTQ plus people, or engage with any aspects of queer culture and media that doesn't involve watching gay men kissing, cuddling, or having sex. Would I be out of line to tell her how comfortable this makes me feel? I really think she is just sexualizing gay men and not really an ally to others. I feel like you should talk to her about this. Keep in mind that she may just be a fujoshi. I don't mean that in a bad way, okay? I love fujoshis. Now, she just may be a fujoshi, and that is okay, and that is valid. If it makes OP uncomfortable, though, there can be a discussion, because they're friends. Okay. Hi. Hello. Okay, that was... I don't know how far the filming went, but that was the video. Okay, hi. Hello. My camera just shut off randomly. I don't know how much got filmed. I will see you guys next week. Happy Pride Month. I'll make another Pride-related video next week or something. Okay, bye.